Have you ever been utterly certain of something, only to discover later you were profoundly wrong? Perhaps you confidently offered advice, only to realize the depth of your own ignorance? This isn't a rare occurrence. It's a fundamental aspect of the human condition, a subtle yet pervasive illusion woven into the fabric of our self-perception. We're talking about the seductive whisper of self-deception, the alluring mirage of competence. This journey we're embarking on today delves into the unsettling yet strangely comforting reality of the Dunning-Kruger Effect. It's a psychological phenomenon, a cognitive bias that reveals a curious inverse relationship between competence and confidence. In simpler terms, the less you know, the more confident you often feel. And conversely, the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know, a humbling realization that can be both disorienting and liberating. Think about it. How often have you encountered online debates, fueled by passionate yet uninformed opinions? How many times have you witnessed someone confidently assert their expertise, only to unravel under the slightest scrutiny? The Dunning-Kruger effect isn't about malice. It's about a lack of metacognitive awareness, an inability to accurately assess our own abilities. It's a blind spot, a shadow cast by the very ego that strives for validation. This isn't a judgment. It's a mirror reflecting a shared human experience. We'll be peeling back the layers of this illusion, exploring how our ego plays a crucial role in this self-deception. We'll examine the insidious influence of social media, where curated realities and echo chambers amplify the Dunning-Kruger effect, creating a breeding ground for misinformation and entrenched beliefs. But more importantly, we'll explore the path towards genuine self-awareness, a path that demands humility, a willingness to question our own assumptions, and a courageous embrace of our inherent limitations. The journey towards true wisdom begins with acknowledging the illusion of competence. Are you ready to confront your own? Let's dissect this fascinating phenomenon, the Dunning-Kruger effect, more precisely. Imagine a graph, a gentle curve rising and then falling. The horizontal axis represents actual competence, your real-world skills in any given area. The vertical axis measures perceived competence, how skilled you believe you are. Now, picture this. At the far left, where actual competence is low, you'll find a peak in perceived competence. This is the realm of the novice, brimming with unwarranted confidence. They haven't yet developed the expertise to recognize their own limitations. Their lack of knowledge prevents them from understanding the vast expanse of what they don't know. It's like standing at the foot of a mountain, believing it's a small hill easily conquered. As we move along the horizontal axis towards increasing competence, the perceived competence curve dips. This is a valley of despair, with a growing awareness of one's limitations leads to a temporary decrease in confidence. This is a stage where the weight of true knowledge begins to settle, where the sheer scope of what remains unknown becomes painfully clear. The mountain looms large, its summit seemingly unreachable. Eventually, however, as competence continues to grow, the curve rises again, though more gradually this time. This is a plateau of expertise, where true skill and accurate self-assessment begin to align. The climber, having gained experience and perspective, possesses a realistic understanding of both their strengths and weaknesses, their accomplishments and the challenges that lie ahead. The summit is still distant, but the path is clearer, the ascent more purposeful. The Dunning-Kruger effect isn't about inherent stupidity. It's a testament to the limitations of our cognitive architecture. It's a reminder that true expertise requires not only knowledge and skill, but also profound understanding of the boundaries of our own knowledge. It's a journey of continuous learning, self-reflection, and a humbling acceptance of our inherent fallibility. The Dunning-Kruger effect isn't simply a cognitive bias. It's a complex interplay between our perception of ourselves and the world around us, profoundly shaped by the often unseen force of the ego. Our ego, that part of us that craves validation and self-preservation, acts as a powerful defense mechanism, shielding us from the uncomfortable truth of our limitations. Confronting our inadequacies can be deeply unsettling. Self-doubt, that nagging whisper of uncertainty, challenges our carefully constructed sense of self-worth. It's a vulnerability that many find difficult, even painful, to acknowledge. The ego, in its attempt to maintain a sense of stability and security, often responds by inflating our self-perception, creating an illusion of competence that masks underlying insecurities. This inflated self-perception, the seductive mirage of expertise, is precisely what fuels the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's not that we intentionally deceive ourselves. Rather, the ego subtly distorts our perception, filtering out information that contradicts our pre-existing beliefs. We selectively focus on evidence that supports our self-image, while dismissing or downplaying evidence that challenges it. This creates a feedback loop, reinforcing the illusion of competence and making it increasingly difficult to see ourselves clearly. The allure of inflated self-perception is potent. It provides a sense of comfort, a shield against the anxieties of self-doubt. It offers a sense of belonging, a connection to a community of like-minded individuals who share the same illusion. But this manufactured sense of security comes at a cost. It prevents us from learning, from growing, from truly understanding our place in the world. The path towards genuine self-knowledge requires us to confront the ego's defenses, to embrace self-doubt not as a weakness but as a catalyst for growth. This is the crucial turning point, the moment where we begin to dismantle the illusion and embrace the path of true understanding. Are you prepared to begin that journey? Centuries before the formal articulation of the Dunning-Kruger effect, a profound wisdom echoed through the Athenian agora: know thyself. These simple yet potent words, attributed to the enigmatic Socrates, remain a timeless imperative, a cornerstone of self-discovery and a direct challenge to the illusion of competence. Socrates, famously declared ignorant, understood the profound limitations of human knowledge. He didn't claim omniscience. Instead, he embraced the pursuit of wisdom as a continuous process of self-examination. His method, the Socratic method, involved relentless questioning, not to expose others' ignorance, but to illuminate the boundaries of his own understanding. It was a journey of intellectual humility, a willingness to confront his own biases and assumptions. This continuous self-inquiry, this relentless probing of one's own beliefs, is the antidote to the Dunning-Kruger effect. It is a conscious effort to break free from the ego's grip, to resist the seductive allure of inflated self-perception. Socrates' dictum isn't about achieving a state of perfect self-knowledge. It's about embracing the ongoing process of self-discovery, the continuous refinement of our understanding, both of our capabilities and our limitations. The Dunning-Kruger effect thrives in the absence of self-examination. It flourishes in the fertile ground of unexamined beliefs, unquestioned assumptions, and a reluctance to confront our own shortcomings. Socrates' legacy serves as a potent reminder that true wisdom begins with the courageous act of acknowledging our own ignorance, of recognizing the vast expanse of what we don't know. It's a journey into the unknown, a humbling but ultimately liberating process that leads to a more accurate and authentic understanding of ourselves and our place in the world. It's a path we must each choose to embark upon. Now, let's shift our focus to the provocative philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche and his concept of the will to power. This isn't about a crude desire for domination over others. Rather, it's a fundamental drive towards self-overcoming, a striving for growth and self-mastery. However, this inherent drive can, paradoxically, contribute to the very self-deception that fuels the Dunning-Kruger effect. The will to power, when unchecked, can manifest as a relentless pursuit of self-aggrandizement. The desire to appear competent, to be seen as successful and powerful, can overshadow the honest assessment of one's actual abilities. This drive can lead to a selective perception of reality, where evidence that contradicts our self-image is conveniently ignored or rationalized away. We create narratives that bolster our self-esteem, constructing a persona that aligns with our aspirations rather than reflecting our actual capabilities. This self-deception, this carefully constructed illusion of competence, is not necessarily a conscious act of dishonesty. It's a subtle distortion of perception, a byproduct of the will to power's relentless push towards self-affirmation. Consider the individual who relentlessly pursues a career path for which they lack the necessary skills or aptitude. Driven by the will to power, they may overestimate their abilities, ignoring warning signs and dismissing criticism. Their self-deception becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, leading to frustration, failure, and a deepening sense of inadequacy. Nietzsche's philosophy, therefore, offers a complex perspective on the Dunning-Kruger effect. While the will to power is a fundamental aspect of human nature, a driving force toward growth and self-improvement, it must be tempered by self-awareness and a willingness to confront our limitations. The path to true mastery, Nietzsche might suggest, lies not in the illusion of competence, but in the honest assessment of our strengths and weaknesses, a constant striving for self-improvement rooted in self-knowledge, not self-deception. The question then becomes, how do we harness the will to power for genuine self-improvement, rather than letting it fuel the illusion of competence? Arthur Schopenhauer, the master of pessimism, offers a unique lens through which to view the Dunning-Kruger Effect. His philosophy, centered on the concept of the world as will and representation, underscores the inherent limitations of human knowledge and the challenges of achieving true self-awareness. Schopenhauer argued that our perception of reality, our representation, is a filtered and incomplete version of the underlying will, a blind, striving force that drives all existence. This suggests that our understanding of ourselves, our capabilities, and our limitations is inherently flawed, shaped by our subjective experiences and biases. We see only a fragment of the whole, mistaking our partial view for a complete picture. This inherent limitation of human knowledge directly relates to the Dunning-Kruger Effect. Our limited understanding of our own competence, our inability to fully grasp the scope of our own ignorance, leads to the overconfidence characteristic of those with low skills. We mistake our fragmented understanding for complete mastery, failing to recognize the vast expanse of knowledge and skill that lies beyond our limited perspective. Overcoming the Dunning-Kruger Effect within Schopenhauer's framework becomes a Herculean task. It requires not only a relentless pursuit of self-knowledge, but also profound acceptance of the inherent limitations of human understanding. It demands humility, a recognition that our perception of reality is always partial, always incomplete. True self-awareness in this context is not about achieving a state of perfect knowledge, but about recognizing the inherent limitations of our understanding and striving to expand our perspective, always acknowledging the vast unknown that surrounds us. This ongoing process, this constant striving for a more complete picture, is the essence of the journey toward self-mastery. The rise of social media presents a unique and unsettling challenge to our understanding of the Dunning-Kruger Effect. These platforms, designed to connect us, can inadvertently amplify our biases and reinforce our illusions of competence. The curated nature of online personas, the carefully crafted images and pronouncements, often obscure the messy reality of human fallibility. This curated perfection fuels the ego, reinforcing the illusion of competence. Echo chambers, those self-selecting online communities where dissenting opinions are silenced or ridiculed, further exacerbate the problem. Within these echo chambers, individuals are surrounded by others who share their beliefs, reinforcing their pre-existing biases and discouraging self-doubt. Critical thinking is replaced by affirmation, and any challenge to one's beliefs is met with resistance or hostility. This constant affirmation, this lack of exposure to alternative perspectives, create a fertile ground for the Dunning-Kruger Effect to flourish. Individuals become increasingly entrenched in their beliefs, unable to recognize the limitations of their own knowledge or the validity of opposing viewpoints. The feedback loop of affirmation, combined with the anonymity and lack of accountability often present online, creates a breeding ground for overconfidence and a diminished capacity for self-reflection. Consider the individual who confidently proclaims their expertise on a complex topic, armed with information gleaned from biased sources within their online echo chamber. They may vehemently reject any contradictory evidence, interpreting criticism as an attack rather than an opportunity for growth. Their online persona, carefully constructed and constantly reinforced, becomes a shield against self-doubt, a testament to the seductive power of the ego. The challenge, then, lies in navigating the digital landscape with a critical eye, recognizing potential for self-deception, and cultivating a healthy skepticism toward the information we consume online. We must actively seek out diverse perspectives, challenge our own beliefs, and embrace self-doubt not as a weakness, but as a catalyst for growth. The escape from the echo chamber, the path toward genuine self-awareness in the digital age, requires courage, humility, and a conscious effort to break free from constraints of online affirmation. The Dunning-Kruger Effect, as we've explored, paints a picture of overconfidence born from incompetence. However, the reality is more nuanced. The phenomenon also has a less discussed counterpart, the inverse Dunning-Kruger Effect, where highly competent individuals significantly underestimate their own abilities. This isn't a lack of skill, but a lack of self-awareness, a different facet of the same underlying issue. These individuals, often masters of their craft, possess a deep understanding of the complexities involved in their field. This intimate knowledge, paradoxically, leads them to underestimate their own abilities. Because they are so intimately familiar with the challenges and intricacies, they struggle to appreciate how their expertise might appear to those less experienced. They often assume that what comes naturally to them, after years of dedicated practice and learning, is equally accessible to others. They fail to recognize the significant hurdles and struggles faced by those less skilled. This empathy, this understanding of the arduous journey required to reach their level of competence, blinds them to their own exceptional abilities. This phenomenon highlights a crucial aspect of self-awareness, the ability to not only understand one's own strengths and weaknesses, but also to accurately gauge the relative skill levels of others. The humble expert, while possessing exceptional abilities, may struggle to recognize the significance of their achievements, dismissing their expertise as simply the way things are done. They may undersell themselves, failing to advocate for their contributions or to seek the recognition they deserve. Recognizing the inverse Dunning-Kruger effect is crucial. It's a reminder that humility, while a virtue, can be taken to an extreme, hindering self-advocacy and potentially limiting opportunities for growth and recognition. Striking a balance between humility and self-confidence, between accurately assessing one's own abilities and appreciating the struggles of others, is a vital step toward a more authentic and fulfilling life, both personally and professionally. The journey to self-knowledge is a continuous process of calibrating our perceptions of ourselves and the world around us. Confronting our limitations is rarely a comfortable experience. It requires a willingness to step outside the comforting illusion of competence, to acknowledge the gaps in our knowledge and skills, and to face the vulnerability that comes with admitting our imperfections. This is not a simple intellectual exercise. It is an emotional journey fraught with potential discomfort and even shame. The ego, that protective shield we construct around our self-image, fiercely resists any challenge to its carefully constructed narrative. When confronted with evidence of our shortcomings, the ego may react with defensiveness, anger, or even denial. It may seek to minimize the significance of our failures, rationalize our mistakes, or project blame onto external factors. This resistance is not necessarily a sign of weakness. It's a natural human response to the threat of exposing our vulnerabilities. The feelings that arise when we confront our limitations can be intense and unsettling. There may be a sense of inadequacy, a feeling of falling short of our own expectations or the expectations of others. We might experience shame, a deep sense of self-condemnation that can be paralyzing. This emotional toll can be significant, making the process of self-assessment a challenging and often painful undertaking. The journey towards self-awareness, therefore, requires not only intellectual honesty, but also emotional resilience. It demands that we cultivate compassion for ourselves, recognizing that imperfection is an inherent part of the human condition. We need to create a space for self-compassion, allowing ourselves to feel the discomfort and vulnerability that accompany the process of self-discovery without judgment. This is not about self-indulgent wallowing in our shortcomings, but about acknowledging our imperfections as opportunities for growth and development. The path to true self-knowledge is paved with vulnerability, and it's through embracing this vulnerability that we can truly begin to understand ourselves and our place in the world. The antidote to the Dunning-Kruger effect isn't simply about acquiring more knowledge. It's about cultivating a mindset of continuous self-reflection and a genuine embrace of humility. It's about acknowledging that our understanding is always incomplete, that there's always more to learn, and that our perceptions may be skewed by our own biases and limitations. Self-reflection, that often overlooked practice of honest introspection, is paramount. It's about regularly examining our beliefs, our assumptions, and our methods, questioning our own reasoning, and honestly assessing the validity of our conclusions. This requires a willingness to be uncomfortable, to confront our own biases and prejudices, and to acknowledge the areas where we fall short. Seeking feedback from trusted sources is equally important. It's about actively soliciting constructive criticism, not simply to bolster our ego, but to identify areas for improvement and to gain a more objective perspective on our capabilities. This requires humility, a willingness to listen to and learn from others, even when their feedback is challenging or uncomfortable. It's about valuing diverse perspectives and recognizing that others may see things that we fail to see ourselves. Cultivating humility is not about self-deprecation. It's about recognizing the limitations of our own knowledge and the vastness of the unknown. It's about approaching learning with a sense of openness and curiosity, rather than with the arrogance of assumed expertise. True humility involves acknowledging the fallibility of our own judgment and the possibility of being wrong. Continuous learning and self-improvement are not optional extras. They are essential components of overcoming the Dunning-Kruger Effect. It's about embracing a growth mindset, viewing challenges as opportunities for growth, and committing to a lifelong journey of learning and self-discovery. This ongoing process of self-examination, feedback, and learning fosters a more accurate understanding of our abilities, leading to greater self-awareness and more grounded sense of self. The path to genuine expertise is paved with humility, a willingness to learn from our mistakes, and a continuous pursuit of knowledge. The journey towards genuine self-awareness is not a passive one. It demands active participation. It requires a conscious effort to challenge our assumptions, to question our beliefs, and to actively seek out diverse perspectives that challenge our preconceived notions. This is not about abandoning our convictions, but about subjecting them to rigorous scrutiny, testing their validity against evidence and alternative viewpoints. We must actively cultivate a mindset of intellectual humility, recognizing the limitations of our own understanding and the vastness of the unknown. This is not about self-deprecation, but about approaching knowledge with a sense of openness and curiosity, a willingness to learn from our mistakes, and a recognition that we may be wrong. Embrace the discomfort of uncertainty. It is within that discomfort that true growth occurs. Seek out feedback, not to bolster your ego, but to identify areas for improvement. Actively solicit criticism from trusted sources and listen attentively to what they have to say, even if it's challenging to hear. This requires courage, a willingness to expose your vulnerabilities, and a genuine desire for self-improvement. Remember, the most valuable feedback often comes from those who see us clearly, even when we choose to see ourselves through a rose-tinted lens. The benefits of self-awareness and humility are profound. They lead to more accurate self-perception, improved decision-making, stronger relationships, and greater personal fulfillment. By cultivating these qualities, we not only overcome the pitfalls of the Dunning-Kruger Effect, but also unlock our potential for genuine growth and self-discovery. It is a path that requires courage, introspection, and a lifelong commitment to learning, but the rewards are immeasurable. The journey towards true wisdom begins with a courageous act of questioning our own assumptions and embracing the humbling truth of our own limitations. Begin this journey today. The pursuit of self-knowledge is a journey, not a destination. It's a lifelong process of self-discovery, a continuous exploration of our strengths, weaknesses, beliefs, and motivations. The rewards of this journey, however, are immeasurable. Overcoming the limitations imposed by the Dunning-Kruger Effect unlocks a profound sense of self-awareness and personal growth. By cultivating humility, we open ourselves to learning and growth in ways that would otherwise be impossible. Humility is not weakness. It's a foundation upon which genuine understanding is built. It allows us to acknowledge our limitations, to appreciate the perspectives of others, and to approach learning with openness and curiosity. This fosters a more accurate self-perception, leading to improved decision-making, stronger relationships, and a greater sense of personal fulfillment. The long-term reward of overcoming the Dunning-Kruger Effect extend far beyond intellectual understanding. It fosters emotional intelligence, allowing us to navigate complex interpersonal dynamics with greater empathy and understanding. It strengthens our resilience, allowing us to confront challenges with a more balanced perspective and a greater capacity for self-compassion. It empowers us to take ownership of our mistakes, to learn from them, and to move forward with renewed purpose and clarity. The journey towards self-knowledge is not always easy. It requires courage, introspection, and a willingness to confront our own vulnerabilities. It demands that we step outside our comfort zones, to challenge our assumptions, and to embrace the discomfort of uncertainty. But the rewards of this journey far outweigh the challenges. The path towards self-awareness is a path to a more authentic, fulfilling, and meaningful life. Embrace the journey. The destination is worth the effort. The journey we've explored today, confronting the Dunning-Kruger Effect and its insidious grip on our self-perception, is not about diminishing our accomplishments or silencing our voices. It's about cultivating a deeper, more honest relationship with ourselves, one built on a foundation of self-awareness and intellectual humility. It's about recognizing that true competence is not solely measured by outward confidence, but by a continuous pursuit of knowledge and a willingness to acknowledge our limitations. The path towards true wisdom is paved with self-reflection, a persistent questioning of our assumptions, and a courageous embrace of vulnerability. It's about actively seeking feedback, not to validate our ego, but to gain a clearer understanding of our strengths and weaknesses. It's about recognizing the inherent limitations of our understanding and approaching the unknown with both curiosity and humility. This journey demands courage. It requires us to confront our own biases and step outside the comfort of our self-constructed narratives. But within that discomfort lies a potential for profound personal transformation. By embracing self-awareness, we not only overcome the pitfalls of the Dunning-Kruger Effect, but we also unlock our capacity for genuine growth, deeper connections, and a more meaningful life. The pursuit of wisdom is a lifelong endeavor, a journey of continuous learning and self-discovery. Embrace the challenge. The rewards are immeasurable. The path to true wisdom begins with the courageous act of knowing thyself.